turn in your books to page 10. If you're not in your seat, please go back to your seat and turn in your books to page 10. Okay. Garrett, would you turn the lights off, please? Thank you. In your books on page 10, we're going to try something a little new. Because if you look at number 1 here,
Kyle, put that away. It's a slipper.
Kyle, why are you doing that instead of your chemistry?
Cleaning your floors.
Okay, but right now, I want you to do your chemistry. So, put my stuff back where you took it from. Swiffers don't work without the clothy pad thing anyway. Okay, right now you're just pushing dirt around.
That's what sweeping is.
No, not entirely. Please sit down, open your book to page 10,
My book's already open page 10.
then sit down in front of it or behind it and focus. Okay. Garrett, hush please.
Shut up, Garrett.
If you read number 1, the number they give you is a number of moles. But if you look, they are not asking you to find moles as your answer. They want grams. So we have kind of a new rule here. On page 9, we did moles and moles, which was 2 fractions.
We're getting moles and moles and moles now.
On this page, we're adding the possibility of mixed between grams and moles.
Possibility? What?
Some problems will be moles and moles, which is 2 fractions. Some problems will now be grams and moles.
Which is 3.
It is 3. If you have grams, that's going to get added on. Now it's 3 fractions.
Go with nothing.
Eventually, we'll get to 4, but not today. Okay.
I'm up for the challenge.
Shh, that's great, but today, hush. So if you look at number 1 and you see that it's grams and moles, then based on what we just wrote down, how many fractions do we need for number 1 if it's grams and moles?
3.
We need 3, so draw your 3 fractions. Okay, some stuff is not changing, like the number they gave us going on top of the first fraction over 1, that is not changing. And needing to write the chemical next to it is not changing. So if you read 4.35 moles, what chemical is 4.35 moles talking about? Oxygen gas, which Garrett's right. If you look at this reaction, the one that's oxygen gas is O2.
Did you say Garrett was right?
Oh, was that Luis?
No, that was me.
No, that was me. What you mean?
I'm sorry, Luis. Garrett, I take it back. Luis was right.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Wait a minute.
It's just, both of you talk so much that I just assume it's one or the other. All right, if you have moles of O2 on top, what goes up must come down. So moles of O2 will also go on the bottom. And like we said earlier, if you have moles on the bottom, that is a signal that you need to do something. So what was our signal? When you have moles on the bottom, what do you do? Where do you get your number from when you have moles on the bottom? The coefficient. So since this is 3O2, we're going to put 3 moles of O2 right here. And we need to finish our bridge. We're starting it at O2, but I don't know what to write on top here if I didn't bother to finish my bridge. So let's read back through the problem. What is the other chemical in the problem that they are asking us to find? Iron metal. Which one of these other chemicals is iron metal? The 4Fe. Luis, do you have a question?
Not really.
Okay. So, if I have moles on the bottom, I'm ready to get on the bridge, and to get on the bridge I have to pay 3 moles of O2. Then I can drive across the bridge, and to get off the bridge I'm going to pay what?
Why is it
What toll?
Moles! The mole toll!
The mole toll of what?
He got paid.
How many moles? 4 moles of what? Fe.
Let's see.
Why is it more expensive to get off than it is?
Maybe the 4Fe is a better neighborhood.
Because the United States is red.
I'm not really sure what that means, but sure.
Are the moles
You don't know what the United
$19,
States is
$20 in
rated?
debt too?
If you have moles of Fe on top, Moles of Fe are also going to be on bottom. And now we have an interesting problem. I hope you're listening, because now we have an interesting problem. We have now used moles 4 times. How many times are we allowed to use moles?
4.
Only 4. So I cannot put moles on top here.
Oh, I know what you put.
What do you put?
Grams.
Grams.
Oh, no.
Grams is the only thing we have left. Grams must be what goes on top.
God,
And I have a something to whoa, hold on.
wait.
When you have grams and moles in the same fraction, like here, we have a 1 fraction and grams and moles are both in this fraction. When you have grams and moles in the same fraction, they will be the same chemical for moles and for grams. So if moles was Fe, grams needs to be the same chemical. So what chemical am I going to write next to grams? Also Fe. Grams and moles in the same fraction, they need to be the same chemical. Garrett, do not break my hole punch.
Break it. Savage.
Stop.
Just playing with it.
It's not a toy. Playing with things that are not toys is how you break things. Stop.
That's not true.
No, he's not an investigator.
Okay, now here's a question. When I need a number of moles of Fe here, can I use this 4 again? Can I use this 4 again? No, you can only use each number once. We already used the 4.35. We've already used this 3. We've already used this 4. We can't use this 4 again. We've already used it. Well, the 2 doesn't go with Fe. 2 goes with a compound. Why 1?
Why not?
You're right.
Oh.
It is a 1. When you have grams and moles in the same
So
fraction,
you put a 1. There you go.
when you have grams and moles in the same fraction, this is like the unit we just finished. This is like the unit you just took a test on. You will.
I'm wrong.
No, you're right. Grams and moles in the same fraction, just like our old unit, you're going to write 1 mole. Remember the old unit, anytime you needed moles, you wrote a 1. If it's grams and moles in the same fraction, you're still going to write 1 mole, just like the old unit. And then grams are going to come from where?
The periodic table.
The periodic table.
So what you're going to do, well, the answer will be 5.8 G.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
The answer, the units will be grams of Fe, yes.
All right.
Iron is 55.85.
Mole. No. G.
Put it in your calculator.
You have to put
Are you
mole?
sure Fe is an element?
No, I'm pretty sure it's 5.8 G Fe, right?
Hold on, Luis. Let me catch up. If you put this in your calculator,
How do you put that in your calculator?
the same way we've always done. Top times top times top, get a number. Bottom times bottom times bottom, get a number.
Oh, yeah.
Divide top over bottom. Okay. Now, Luis, what?
Did you hear?
Other than being creepy, what were you asking me?
What?
It sounded creepy. I don't want to know what that conversation was.
Because I've seen her before.
Okay, Luis,
It's an insight.
what were you asking me about?
You didn't even know what an inside joke was last week.
Now I know.
Okay, Luis, what were you asking me about grams of
Wait.
Fe?
Something about 8th graders.
The 8th graders know.
What'd you put at 55?
This 55.85 was from the periodic table.
Yeah. Wait.
Grams always come from the periodic table. This is the number for iron on the periodic table.
Guys, stop.
What?
Oh, I thought you said 1.
For the moles.
Oh. Oh, you're wrong.
I thought you said 1.
Okay,
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
what unit is going to go next to this number?
Grams Fe.
Grams of Fe. Just like before, we can only use grams twice. Moles is getting used 4 times, but grams can still only get used twice. So that must be what goes in our answer.
Don't worry about it.
Okay? And let's look at number 2. Do you have any questions about number 1 before I move on to number 2? Any questions about this first problem?
No, I'm good. I got this.
Good.
Let's take a test already.
You're not the only one in this class, Luis.
Alright, they should catch up.
That's true. Kyle, do you have any questions?
No, I'm just saying, like, it's annoying that he says, yeah, we got it. When some
Well,
people
I say I got it.
It's true.
I say I got it.
Okay,
Not.
Luis.
Didn't make a 16 out of 40.
Okay,
Yeah.
gentlemen,
Really?
hush.
I made a 60.
8th graders.
Hush.
Hey, I guess.
Gentlemen, hush. Do I need to answer any questions about number 1 from anybody before I move on to the second problem?
I'm still fast.
All right. How many fractions do I need for number 2 if it uses moles and grams? 3.
3.
Thank you, Cameron. We got it. Thank you. Okay, and on top of the first fraction, what am I going to write? It's going to be grams of iron. Iron is this Fe up here. So that's right. And what number of grams of iron?
5.3.
The 5.3 that they gave me. Yep.
And then 55.85 at the bottom.
Hold on. What's going to go under the first fraction?
1.
A 1. Okay, grams of Fe on top. What goes up must come down.
55.85 G's.
Oh.
Yay, that's a lot.
Okay, now we can only use grams how many times?
Twice.
Twice. So that's already 1, 2. We're done. We got to switch. What are we going to switch to?
Mole.
Moles. And when grams and moles are in the same fraction, they're the same chemical. So we're going to write Fe again.
1.
And when grams and moles are in the same fraction, it is 1 mole. And then I heard several of you saying it earlier, the number of grams is from the periodic table, which for Fe
55.
is the 55.85 again. Now, if I have moles on top, where else am I going to write moles?
On the right side.
On the bottom of the next fraction. Now I have moles on the bottom, and that means I'm ready to do what?
Use 3 moles. Wait, no.
I got 3 moles.
Use the
4?
4 from the coefficient. But I don't know what goes on top if I never finish drawing my bridge, so I better go back and read the problem. What is the other chemical in this problem?
C.
Oh no, O2.
They ask for iron 3 oxide. They want the compound for this problem. They want the compound.
Fe2O3.
So it is going to switch to 2
Moles.
moles
Fe.
of
O3.
Fe2O3. Thank you, Cameron. Okay, put it in your calculator. Put it in your calculator. And if you get 0.047 and you're rounding it to 2 decimal places. Okay, hold on, I'm asking a question. Luis, I'm asking a question. And then I will move it. If I've got 0.047 and I'm rounding to 2 decimal places, what am I going to round this to? 0.0, shouldn't the 7?
0.05.
The 7 should round it up to 0.05.
What are you talking
0.05.
Okay. And I do need moles a 4th time, so this must be moles. And what chemical is this?
Fe2O3.
The Fe2O3. Okay. Are there any questions at this time?
Maybe to the restroom.
I meant about this.
Huh?
I meant about this. Any
No, I
questions?
didn't.